this is kind of an update of where we're at with the community garden that I know a lot of you have worked on, or some of us have worked on for the last few years, and just where we're at. A little bit of the history was we had a little bit of a run at this in 2020, 2021, just after COVID or during COVID, and almost came to an understanding with the village of New Denver, and unfortunately just couldn't quite make the last pieces fit together and work. But just for the last 6 months or so, we've been working on another piece that we think is going to work out. I did write a little spiel about the benefits of the community garden, but I'm not even sure if I need to. No. It seems like everybody here probably realizes it's something. All right, that's so So to cut to the chase is, it was a suggestion from Danica that I get in touch with the Gospel Light Chapel, which is the church opposite the Canco in New Denver. And they own the chapel, they have an empty lot next door, and they own the manse house which Rebecca Laity lives in. So we approached them just before Christmas and we backed and forth a little bit, and it turns out they're very keen to give us a long-term lease on, as yet, it's not a necessarily specific area, but it will look like it'll be about 5,000 square feet, wow. About an eighth of an acre. So it's not huge, but it's definitely enough to get to put a very viable community garden in.
A seed, so to speak.
A seed, yes. And so that's a lot of what we're looking at for this is a seed. And in the beginning, Cole and I have been working on it with Deanne when she was here before she left for the winter. Is putting a budget together, looking what we need. We have to put in some infrastructure, including mains water line and irrigation for each of the boxes. Deer fence and bear fencing. We think because there's no soil at this place, it's got really good exposure. The water's definitely there from the village. I've talked to the village on numerous occasions. They have absolutely no problem with it. It's zoned institutional. We can have a garden there, no problems. And we need to build boxes and bring in soil. So we budgeted it out, and we've got a number of funding streams that we're looking at, and we have a very good local funding stream that looks like it'll work out, so I think we could progress quite quickly. At this point, we're just making a memorandum of understanding with the church to make sure we're all on the same path before we actually get to the point of signing a lease and a contract, and we're looking at hopefully doing a 10-year lease with them for a specific area that they're willing to let us use. So, and I think as Mo just said, it is a little bit of a seed. I think there's definite demand that people want a community garden. We always looked that we needed every small community should have a food hub, and every small community should have a garden. And so this fits in.
Where's the money coming from?
So there's some private funding from somebody in town or a number of people in town.
Wow.
I've got a process with United Way that might work out, but it's a little bit, I may be able to use it for labour parts, but not for infrastructure. And then we put in for a ready grant from Silverton and New Denver in the next little while. And then there's a couple of other funding streams. And we haven't talked to CBT yet. So I think there's funding out there. I've got some initial funding from people in town who are very keen on the project. And I think that will hopefully work out. So we're quite close, I think, to getting a memorandum of understanding, to moving on to a lease, and then starting the project hopefully this spring. And what we're really looking for is public engagement to see who wants to use the boxes, who will be interested in volunteering, who wants to get involved in the project. And we did this about 4 years ago, and Mo very kindly put a lot of time and effort into trying to get some community engagement going on and seeing. And so we've got a list of people from a few years ago that we'll all contact and some emails. And if anybody else is really interested, would like to sit on the food and farm committee that we're going to form, that would be awesome. So anybody interested in doing that, whether you'd like to rent a box or whether you'd like to just participate and help out or be on the committee, would be absolutely excellent. And it is a bit of a seed project because in the long term we still have the potential of leasing land off the Harrises at the Bosun Ranch. So they have a 12.5 acre piece at the far end of the property near the lake I don't know if I'm assuming a lot of you have been up there. They're interested in leasing a piece. We had initially looked at leasing possibly an acre and putting in an orchard and a berry patch as a start. From that point, possibly building it up to maybe doing a potato patch or a garlic patch, but something that could be community and communally farmed. So my hope would be that this project with the community garden would bring a number of people together and get a little hardcore committee of people together who are really interested in growing food communally for our community. And just with the way the world seems to be going recently, maybe it's becoming more relevant every day. Chicken, you know, the Harrises are quite open to what's going on up there. They're interested in possibly having somebody staying up there. There's some potential to do some animals up there. I think we initially thought we'd like to try and do an orchard and berry patch because it's something that's feasible, startable, a little bit less labor possibly than going for a whole garden or raising animals, and then just see how much interest we can raise and where we can go from there. So I have a sign-up sheet at the back that if anybody would like to put their name and email address and what they're actually interested in, I'd much appreciate it. Yes, go ahead.
How many boxes do you anticipate pads would fit?
So if we were looking
5,000 square feet.
So we're looking, if a box is 3 feet by 8 feet, roughly, is what we were looking at building. We thought we'd easily get 24 boxes in. The church is building a little gazebo in memoriam for Danny and Joan.
Nice.
So that's going to go, if you think where the site is, 2 of the fruit trees that are cherry trees are going to get pulled out. The old apple tree is staying. The gazebo will go near the church side, and then the rest of the area we'll put boxes in. And we're hoping to make it wheelchair accessible, at least for some of the area, have some high raised boxes for people to work in so it's easier for people to come bend over. And the reason for doing boxes is that there's no soil there. So we're pretty much buying and bringing in all the soil that we need to. And then the other side of it is we want to build something that's beautiful, that's going to look really nice. It's a credit to the village and everybody can feel really proud about. And I had talked to Mo about doing some sort of art installation that maybe we could get some funding to get local artists to do art pieces that would stand up outside and go on the fence. So I'm hoping to tie a whole bunch of different societies in. We'd love to grow food for the food bank. I've informally talked to Sue Davis, but haven't really gone to the board yet. Last time we got this far, they wrote us a letter of support for the village, the food bank. So they seem quite interested. We'd love to get the school involved, which Julia said is quite possible. The school could have they have a lot of their own garden, but maybe they'd have 1 box and grow food for the food bank. Firewood Hub is very interested, and we hope that we could try and tie something in that would be growing food in the community garden, then processing it in the Firewood Hub and having a dinner or something like that. So we've got lots of options and things. It's a big community building process, as I said. Sorry, JP, yeah.
Jerry and Maureen, are they renting Joan's house,
no,
or did they buy it?
They bought it.
Okay.
But it's far enough, I haven't actually talked to them, but it's far enough away from them that it won't impact them. So the back of, we won't go all the way back to the alleyway because there's Rebecca's septic, the man's septic is on the back, and there's potential they might do something else on the back piece. So I can't see it neighbor-wise. I think everybody's quite happy with it. I don't think it'll impact Jerry and Maureen. Rebecca's very keen. She's sitting on the board now of the Health Community Society, so she's keen to take part in the garden. I think it's a great location. It's got sun, it's downtown, it's got parking, it's easily walkable, it's accessible. It's kind of all the things we were looking for that we couldn't quite find in the last few years. So yeah, Bob.
Just to be clear, so the boxes, would be for individuals who want to raise their own food, or is it all communal for the community?
No, I think it would be individual and communal. So I think we've got a number of individuals who'd like to rent a box or use a box, and then I think some of the societies would pick up a box. So healthy.
Because I know you're being very generous and other growers giving to the food bank, and I just wasn't clear if there's a percent that you mentioned.
No, I don't think it's a percentage. I think we'd love to get individuals in there to use boxes and grow for themselves. And then I think some of the societies, like Healthy Community Society, would have their own box, and we would grow food that we'd provide for the food bank. That's how I imagine it working anyway.
Thank you.
Hey, Isaac.
I imagine in like the design of this with boxes, you said there's also a gazebo being put up by the church.
Yes.
Is there any way we could work together on building those things together? Or is it different spots? Because I reckon in the rainy seasons, people are probably going to end up using whatever shelter is there.
I think so. I think the church is quite keen on us using the gazebo. And I think Greg McTaggart is building the gazebo. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think so. So yeah, there's lots of, the church seems quite open to us working together to do things.
Yeah, growing around it perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yes.
I was just going to say, when I lived in Yellowknife, we had community gardens, and anyone who had a box, there was a sign-up sheet in the garden shed that you gave 10 or 20% of your produce to the food bank.
Okay.
And that was part of the deal.
Okay. I think that's a great idea.
Tithing.
Yes, tithing, yes. So these are the things that we've still got to work out a little bit, and hopefully from the committee point of view, we'll start putting in some rules and regulations if you want. Guys, thank you. Yes. Policies. Hey, Leah.
Yeah, so have you started figuring out the cost for each box?
As a rental cost or
As
the
a
cost
rental
of?
cost? Will there be a rental cost? How would that be?
That's yet to be decided. If there is a rental cost, it'll be absolutely minimal.
Okay. And
Yeah, we're not looking to make money out of it.
Okay. So I know there are some folks in the community that would not be able to afford even a small contribution.
Yes,
So I'd like to see a sponsored boxes.
I think we'd run it the same way as we run the school lunch program, as you know, everybody can get a box if they want a box, if they can afford to pay, and if they can't, that's fine too.
Great.
There'd be no barrier to anybody wanting to use a box. Yes.
Beekeepers, are they welcome in?
We love a beekeeper. Yeah.
What's the question?
Yeah?
Beekeeper. I was funny, I was thinking that just earlier, but yes.
Okay. They might.
Yes.
Are you a beekeeper? Yes.
It might be interesting to explore the church roof and everybody's Yeah.
What's that?
The church roof is a potential beekeeping location.
Keep them from bears.
Right? I'm just wondering about bears or.
Yeah, so we're going to the fence will be electrified,
that's
bear-proof, because there's
perfect.
one apple tree in there.
Right.
So, oh no, we should chat. I'd love
So
to have
if
bees.
there's an issue with that, that might be something to put up at Harris Ranch.
The bees.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Harris Ranch is a much bigger project, so this is the start of it. We're looking at some other funding for Harris's, and I have no deal with Harris's. We've met and discussed it. The board's been up there, looked at the land, and they really want something to happen up there, and we want something to happen up there. It's a much bigger project.
Yeah.
And what would the access be to the lake area up there?
So if you know Harris Road, there's
Yeah.
John's old house on the left.
Yeah.
So before John's house, there's another driveway that goes up.
Okay.
It's a bit disused, but it could be cleaned out. And so it goes up and comes in by the movie house from, yes. So there'd be a private access up there. And it's such a beautiful spot to spend time up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wild fowl.
The jewel of the valley is.
Yeah, it's a nice spot, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
It's the jewel of the.
So in between Silverton and New Denver, if you drive back to New Denver, on the right-hand side, there's a road that goes back up called Harris Road. And there's an old, it's called the Bosun Ranch. I think it's 330 acres in total. And there's about probably 30 acres of rolling pasture. And they've got a 12-acre section that is away from their house, away from the other house that's up there and is unused, and was a ranch for 100 years basically. Had beef run on it.
And planted in orchard for many years.
It was an orchard for many years, and I think the ground's quite degraded. I think when I first got here, they cut about 600 bales on that back piece. And the last time that Ralph did it, I think he got 200 bales off it. So it's old, it's been overgrazed, hasn't had a lot done to it, all the fencing's been taken off. But I think we're looking at just pulling out a 1 acre piece in the beginning. There's quite a lot of elk up there, so it'd be elk fenced. It's all irrigated. There's a 3-inch irrigation line runs through the whole pasture. So there's water there, and the exposure's really good. It slopes fractionally southwest. We should take you up there sometime. Anybody who's interested in being on the committee, obviously we're going to get together with Harris's again and take a visit up there and have a look. But if you haven't been up there, it's absolutely spectacular place.
So is there room for like a strip to do wildflowers?
Oh yeah, there's lots of
It's all wildflowers.
Is it?
Yeah,
Just
it's
extras,
amazing.
you know.
Yeah.
It's probably wise to get permission to drive up there.
I was saying,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
So you can't walk up there, I couldn't drive over there.
That's private property,
No, it's
so
private.
it's probably, but anybody interested, we'll put something. I think Harris's are back out. They'll be back out for the summer. They're only here part time. But there's other people up there. But anybody who's interested, it's a project I'd love to see come to fruition. So we can put something together with Harris's and see. I'm sure they'd be amenable to meeting with us and going up there.
And Sandy used to try to farm trout in that lake.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe we'll do trout in a while.
So that's basically where we're at. I think the community garden is pretty much a go. Fundraising is definitely on the issue still. I'm meeting with the church again tomorrow. Me and Cole, who's taking the memberships outside. We're meeting again tomorrow to hammer out a bit more on the memorandum of understanding. Hopefully we're leading on to a lease fairly quickly here. And then once the lease is in place, I can get in touch with the funders who've offered money. And I think, or would hope, that we can move forward in April. Talk to the village about putting the water line in. We've put in for a ready grant from Silverton and from New Denver. Potentially, if New Denver didn't want to fund us, maybe they would give us some in-kind work to put the water line in, to put the second water line in. So we're working on that, but anything?
Plumbing for that?
Sorry, Kale.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Yes.
This is
Us-
amazing.
There's been lots of other people on it, but it's rested for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's more
Everybody
in
got fed up.
plural, whoever's been doing this,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And, I mean, this is sort of grinding down into the details, but it's important to think about compost and rats as well.
Yeah, so I think, the compost idea, we might go, it's hard to know how much compost we're going to generate. I assume quite a bit. It's something we talked to Julia about. We're not very far from the organic waste diversion project at the back of Julia's and between Leonard's. We might be able to do some sort of boxes that are sealed up that we'd be able to compost and then take to finish off the organic waste diversion project. The rat problem, the only best way I've found to do it is trapping quite heavily. Boxes that have small enough holes for a rat to get through, but not big enough for anything else to get into. It's on the agenda.
What kind of rats?
It's a fairly open location.
We have roof rats and Norwegian rats.
So,
Cats.
yeah.
Owls.
Ratters,
Owls.
rat terriers.
Owls is
good.
I have to say, I came out about a month ago, just before it got light. I could see something in the field, and I was like about 300 feet away, and it was quite big. And I've got tarps down covering the carrots that were overwintering. And when just started to get light, I could see this big barred owl, and he had something through the tarp. He wasn't letting go. He must have been there about half an hour, and then he flew off. And I went and had a look, and it's insulated tarp, so they're quite thick. He managed to get through the first layer of the insulation, but he never quite got down.
Wow.
But owls would be a definite.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking it's.
and other raptors.
There
We
is
Yeah.
figure out what might draw them to the site, if we can put up anything that might appeal to them in terms of platforms or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we could do that. I think that would be awesome.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And if we're not composting, I find the rats don't go for composted weeds, they go for cooked food often, or bits and pieces, not so much raw stuff quite so often.
Beets, favorite food.
Yeah, beets are favorite food, it's true.
Really, beets?
Beets.
Yeah, everything loves beets.
Nothing that
Beets
is that
first.
doesn't love a beet.
So, do you have a question?
So you have the woodland bush rat as well, the water side?
We have Norwegian rats, roof rats, and we have bushy-tailed wood rats, yeah.
They're not the problem.
No, they're not a problem, they're native to here, so, yeah.
Oh, and pack rats, right? Are those
That's
bushy-tailed
yeah,
wood
that's-
rats?
We're looking at, it depends
Woodland bush rat.
how much in-kind and volunteer work we can get. One of the people who's on the board of directors for the church works at Boxley Lumber, Boxley Seedy.
Oh.
So there's probably in there to do some fencing. Rough budget, looking, so water line put in, irrigation, fencing built, boxes, soil, and a few hours of sort of management a week, probably 35,000, I think, to get us up and running. And then the hope would be that once the initial is up there, that we don't need too many labor hours to put into it. And hopefully we're good for a decade without having to replace a lot of fence posts and that sort of thing on the boxes.
And donations go to the Healthy Community Society
Yes.
designated for the community garden.
Yes, anybody who'd like to do that, that would be fantastic. So we have a number of people in the community who have put money on, so that would be great.
So do you know what size water line you're putting in?
It'll only be a 1 inch. It's the village probably won't provide us with a larger water line than that, so it's a 3-inch water main. So the water main runs past the church. The church has its own water line. We put in a separate water line coming from, I think it's a 3 or 4 inch main, or maybe it's bigger, maybe it's an 8 inch main. So the cost of that is $2,000 from the village plus the cost of blacktop, which would come in somewhere under 3,000, I think. And it's a 1 inch line.
So do you anticipate in-grounds water system rather than overhead sprinklers?
Now I think what we'd do is we'd run a main line straight down the center, a 1 inch line, put on yard hydrants.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4 yard hydrants, and then we'd run those off to the boxes, and each box would be provided with its own either micro sprinklers or drip irrigation.
Right. Okay. Good.
So do you need parts for that? I have a lot of water line parts. I can help you build
Possibly.
that.
Yeah. Bees and irrigation parts.
You're in.
Where do you live? I live in Silverton, just on Turner Street.
Really? I live on Turner Street too.
I help an old gentleman there who lost his partner.
What's your name?
Margaret Ann.
Well, welcome, Margaret Ann.
I hope you like bees.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, isn't that great?
These are hard here.
They're hard?
Yeah, I've had like Rick and whatnot.
Yeah.
They don't
To
like it
keep
here?
them overwinter here has
why?
been a challenge. Just from what I've seen.
Yeah, we had Rick and Morgan's bees up at the farm for quite a few years. And some years they'd overwinter, some years they wouldn't make it through.
Other years they just swarm in the spring.
Plus, if you can crack it
They'd be
and
gone.
get it working,
Okay,
that would be
cool.
amazing.
Well, a little gazebo might help.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're a little shaded
Of course, we need to encourage bees.
Have a little
Yeah,
fountain.
that's-
Just a bee fountain.
Yeah, we get a lot of other bees up at the farm.
On the note of like owls and bird life,
Yep.
like just last night we have the owl above the orchard hooting and hollering,
Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
and they're back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They love rodents.
The bard has been living, a bard at our place too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're the ones I see mostly.
Boy, the birds, aren't they ever back in the last week?
Is it spring?
Yeah, and it's mating
Spring, March,
season, so the crows are really noisy in my
Oh,
neighborhood.
I'm breeding.
Ah.
Lots of breeding.
Does anybody, any other questions or anything anybody wants to throw out there?
Where is the garden? Where is the garden?
So do you know the Canco in New Denver?
Where
Gas
is
It's the first
station.
gas station.
Called Canco.
It's at Canco?
No, it's the, you know where the Canco is?
One block this side of the traffic light.
That would be the Kimco. And that's the little church there.
Oh, yes.
Near the bridge over.
Yeah, just over
This
there.
is
Oh,
the
it's at the
hotel.
church?
It's a church, yeah, so we're looking at doing a lease with the church.
So you drive up this way, the recycling is up at the end of this.
So like I said, if anybody does want to sign up or has any interest, I've got a thing at the back there just to write your emails down. I probably have a lot of your emails from previous years when we've done this, but hopefully this year we're actually